Good day, all. Welcome to another unpacking video. We're going to go through last week's assignment. I believe it was due on Sunday, and see which answers we should that were correct, right? So the first question says, Tabo owns bonds that mature in 20 years' time. This means that Tabo will receive bonds in 20 years' time. That's when the bonds that he invests today will have matured. The bond pays a coupon rate of 6%. So this is what Tabo gets every year, 6% of the investment that he made, right? So a decrease in the yield of maturity. So now we get our statement that will now make us choose an answer between. So a decrease in the yield of maturity will result in which of the following? So here we are trying to figure out what is true, right? So then the first thing is we need to ask what happens when the yield to maturity decreases, right? So the first thing is when it decreases, the bond price increases, right? So the bond price would increase should the yield to maturity decrease. This is more stuff that you would get in your theory. So I'd say go back into your theory to understand what the relationship between all these elements actually means, because as soon as you do understand, then you'd know how to use your financial calculator in terms of looking for whatever value that you are supposed to look in terms of maybe changing your payment per year, etc. Right? You need to be able to understand what each element means, right? Also, you know that yield is your percentage, right? It's your IRR, YR when you do your calculations, right? So in theory, what yield's position if in the greater scheme of a bond is that the bond price then decreases, right? So when yield increase, bond price decreases, right? This happens is because investors will be willing to pay more for older bonds and offer higher coupon payments compared to the new lower market rates, right? So basically what it means is if this relationship actually happens because investors are willing to pay more, right, for bonds that are older and then offer higher coupon rates for those bonds compared to the new bonds that would come in at a lower market value or market rates rather. So then the correct answer to this is should the bonds pay a coupon of 6%. Should there be a decrease in yield to maturity, what will be the result to the bond, right? We had already come up with that there. So the answer would be D. It increases the market value. So that's how you get to your value. Okay. Sorry, just getting used to this pen over here. All right, so we get to question 2. We'll annotate into question 2 as well. So the annual coupon rate on a bond is calculated by dividing. So this is now what you call this. This is a statement being made, right? It's a statement being made in terms of how to do a particular calculation, right? So it could also just be like an explanation of how a formula is structured, right? So it tells you that the annual coupon rate for a bond is calculated by dividing the annual interest payment rate, right? So then you can think of your N, your PV, your coupon rate, etc., future value included, you can now know that if you're looking for your annual coupon rate, which is your payment per year, right, you divide it by the annual interest of the payment, which is your I over YR, right? So let's go ahead and check, right? Which is, pardon, I just lied. Which would then be your future value, right? It's your future value. So it's your payment over your future value. So then the formula for coupon rate would be that the key is to remember is that coupon rates are based on face value, right? So never, all the time, you need to remember that your payment is based on your face value. So you could get an I over YR of 6, but then you need to make sure to get your coupon rate, you say I over YR multiplied by future value to get your payment. But in order for you to get your payment value, you need to understand or know what your future value is. Okay. So therefore so it's based on the face value rather than the market value. So your calculations are based on your face value as opposed to your market value. So the correct answer would then be the face value of the bond. Remember when we did this, we were looking for the payment and we were using the face value of the bond to calculate your payment per year. So this is your official answer. Okay. Let's go to question 3. So the question, okay, so the underlying assumption of the dividend growth model is, so here it is, you've got a question, and this question is making a statement that you have to complete using one of these options over here. This is also very much rooted in theory, so you have to basically understand your theory in order for you to do this. But the model assumes that dividends grow at a constant rate forever. This is also known as the Gordon growth model, right? The model works best for mature companies with stable dividend growth, right? So when you do your dividend growth calculation, you know that there may be supernormal growths and then there would be constant growth within the dividend, right? But a company, in order for them to give dividends, they need to have dividends. So this model speaks to companies that will be giving out dividends. So companies that are big, companies that earn a lot of money, right? And so this means that it has that assumption that the growth will forever happen because that company does so well in the first place, right? They don't foresee themselves going so bad that they wouldn't be able to pay a dividend, right? Or grow that said dividend. So now we are looking at the answers, and you know that the one that makes the most sense is the dividend increases at a constant rate forever. And that would be your answer for here. Let's go to question 4. Now we move to a zero coupon bond question, right? So Mushi Ltd offers a zero coupon bond that has a yield to maturity of 9.5. Okay, so coupon, sorry. PMT equals notes. Yield to maturity equals 9.5. Face value equals to 1,000. The N is 7. So it's saying calculate the current market of the bond, right? So we're looking for the money now. We're looking for the present value. So when we have all these values over here, we need to remember that a zero bond does not pay annual interest, right? So instead, investors buy it at a discount and receive the face value at maturity. So basically, instead of getting payments every month, you just buy it and you allow it to grow, and then you go fetch it as soon as it matures in 7 years time. All right, so then you use the present value formula, or you use your financial calculator, and just remember that your PMT is going to be naught. Okay. And then the answer that you would get is no, right? We are not, oh my goodness, not me saying no. So the answer that you are going to get when you do your calculation is C. You're going to go get C once you punch in all those values inside your calculator. Let's go to question 5. In question 5, we are given a face value of 1,000 Rand and a current market price of 989 Rand, right? The bonds have a yield to maturity of 7.26,000 and will mature at par in 5 values time. What is the coupon rates of these bonds, right? So we are given all of this. So the question is asking for the coupon rate, right? And remember when we said the coupon rate is in relation to the face value, right? So therefore you are going to say 1,000 Rand multiplied by wait, what am I saying? This on the bond price, we have to find the annual coupon payment, right? So we need to find the coupon rate. To calculate the coupon rate, you're going to say coupon rate. Remember, there's a formula, right? Coupon rate equals to 70 over 1,000, which would give you 7%. Something inside of me is saying it's wrong. No. Yeah. So this is the answer. So we have a 10-year 5% coupon. And so we know that the coupon rate is 5. Right. Pays interest, and then we know that the bond has a face value of 1,000. These two go together, so you'll find 5% of that, then you'll know that that's your coupon payments. Calculate the percentage as for the G's. Okay, so it says calculate the percentage change in price of this bond. Its yield to maturity rises from 4.5 to 6.5, right? So we're going to take payment 2 minus P1 over P1. This is how you calculate change multiplied by 100, right? So that is how you get your change. It's all the way busy. So you first find the change in payments, right? And then I just realized that I've been talking to myself for like the longest time. My bad. Haven't been clicking and talking. Um Now I'm quiet on purpose because I'm trying to figure out my notes. Okay. So once you've done that, it tells you that the bond yield to maturity rises from 4.5 to 6.5. So this means that you have two present values, right? So your first present value, you put in all your values, but your interest is going to be your 4.5, right? Then you go to your second present value, and then you put in the same values, right? In terms of the values that have been given, that it will increase from 4.5 to 6.5. So you put it all in, and then you get your present value. Once you've gotten that, we go back to the fact that P2 minus P1 over P1 equals to the change, right? So therefore we do that, we multiply by 100, we'll just say the changes of P, and then you multiply it by 100. Once you've gotten that, you get your percentage, right? Which would be 14.18. Sorry for that, getting confused by my notes. So you get your so in order for you to get your values for PMT, remember you say 1,000 multiplied by 5%, which then will equal to 50. Okay, and then those are the values that you will be entering in. Is going to be your 10, your interest payment, depending on which calculation you're starting with first, 4.5, and then in the next one your calculation will be involve 6.5, and then you do the change and then you multiply it by 100. I hope this makes sense. Oh, but I don't think I can slide. I don't know how to slide. So I'll just keep discarding and going on to the next. Let's go to question 7 quickly. Okay. So Transport Ltd pays a perpetual dividend, perpetual meaning the dividend never ends. That's what perpetual means. Of R1.50 for its share. The calculate the value of the share if the required return is 17% and the risk-free return is 7%. So we are looking at the perpetual dividend formula, right? So then what you would do is just substitute in the values that you were given, which was R1.50 that you get perpetually over the rates, the required return of 17%, and you will get 8.82, right? Again, sometimes your theory is more important than the calculations and all of that, because then you would also know that your theory speaks to your calculations. Your R is something, your D is something, so all the time your P means something, D means something. Just learn those elements of your your formulas, right? Let's go to the next one. Question 8. So Mushi paid 110 Rand a share to their shareholders as the annual dividend. Okay. So this is D. Simultaneously, the company announced future dividends will be increased by 5 if a required rate of 15% return. How much, if you require 15% return, how much are you willing to pay to purchase one share? So they promised that now they just currently paid 10 Rand per share. Then they announced that 10 Rand per share is going to increase that 10 Rand is going to be increasing by 5.5%, right? And you require a rate of 15% for your investment. So how much are you willing to pay for one share, right? So you just come in and put in your inputs. Okay. So you're going to say your growth rate, your G is 5.5%. Your R is 15%. So this includes a formula. It's your dividend growth formula. So D1 is equals to P0 over G minus R. That's what you remember, right? Now we need to go and make the substitutions, right? So D1 is equals to 10, right? 70. But it is growing at 5.5%, right? And your answer will then be D1 is 11,285. Now to get your price per share, you need your D1 over your R minus G. So therefore you got your D1 up there, it's 11.2885 over your R, which is 0.15 minus your 0.55, which then will equal to 118.83 for you to get a share that will increase over time as the years goes based on your investment now, right? Of this amount, right, for one share. Let's go to question 9 now. Mushi sells his shares, sells shares for 37 Rand a share and pay an annual dividend that increases by 6% annually. So the growth is 6% all the time. The market rate of return on the share is 14%. Calculate the amount of the last dividend paid by Mushi. So we are looking at D1, right? So it's going to be P0 equals to D1 over R minus G. Simple solve for X is going to be your 37 equals to D1 over R, right? 14 minus 6%. And then you take that and multiply that by that, and then you will be able to get what your value is for D1, which is 279. All right. I hope I was able to teach you something or clarify a couple of things. Let me know if you need anything extra. All right. Bye.